welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. And today, my special guest is Xiao Chen. He is an author, but he's also a digital nomad. And he's had the privilege of living in many different interesting places all over the world. And today, he joins us from Malta. But I thought it would be great to share with everyone his experiences of living all over the world, especially in some places I'm sure many of us have never been to. Sal
Mhm.
Chen, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much for having me, and hello everyone who's listening to this. It's nice to meet you, all of you.
Yes. So as I mentioned, he's joining us from Malta. So how do you I know you're a digital nomad, so
Mhm.
do you just choose the countries that you go to? Do you just kind of research and then
Yeah,
go to the countries?
yeah. Of course, as a digital nomad, the prerequisite is that you have to work completely remotely, right?
Right.
So my current job, which is as a college admission consultant, I work with students from all over the world. I have meetings with them. I work on essays with them, but
Uh-huh.
I am not assigned to a particular office. So
Uh-huh.
that gives me the liberty to basically live anywhere that I please. Yeah, so that's the prerequisite. But in terms of applying to digital nomad visas, right?
Uh-huh.
Residency as a digital nomad in particular countries, each country that has this system have their own requirement, right? It's usually related to their level of income that
Uh-huh.
they expect you to have, right?
Uh-huh.
How long you're going to be in the country, who are you going
Uh-huh.
to bring you with into the country, etc. So every
Right.
country will have their own set of rules.
Uh-huh.
And I did some research on basically the rules for different
Right.
countries, and I decided to choose
Uh,
Malta among all the
okay.
countries that are does
Yes,
this. Yeah.
I've actually heard a lot about Malta. I know
Mhm.
when I'm in Italy, there's a lot of people that go there and a lot of people
Yeah.
that have lived there and they go there
Right.
to study English.
That's
So,
correct. Yeah.
so tell us a little bit about the country. I know it's a small country.
Yeah.
Anything you can tell us about Malta?
Yeah. So Malta was the reason that people speak English here, and yes, everybody speaks English here, is because it
Yes.
was a British colony up until about the 1960s or the 70s when it gained independence. Right.
Uh-huh.
It's a small, well, it's three islands in
Uh-huh.
the country called Malta, and
Uh-huh.
together there's about a 500,000 people who live here. It's a very small place. But about a quarter of the population is not Maltese citizens. Yeah, they tend to come all over the world, right?
Uh-huh.
On the streets, there are a lot of like Filipinos, a lot of Indians, a lot of people from other parts of Europe that come
Uh-huh.
here for both for work or for just vacations, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's made possible by the fact that basically everyone speaks English, right? Yeah, and the major industries here are tourism, right?
Oh,
It's a very big destination, especially for British tourists who are looking for a sunny place to be for a few months during the summer. Yeah,
uh-huh.
it has a lot of beautiful seashores and very balmy, Mediterranean weather. And so people really enjoy the place. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so tourism is a big industry here, as well as a lot of companies set up shop here for
Uh-huh.
online businesses, such as
Oh, okay.
for example, like internet shopping or like
Uh-huh.
online gambling, that sort of
Uh-huh.
things, because
Uh-huh.
the taxation here tends to be quite low compared to other European countries.
Oh, I see, I see.
Yeah.
Wow. So you said the weather's balmy, so it's Mediterranean weather, kind of, I guess, like what we would
Yeah.
expect in Italy.
Absolutely, yeah. It's pretty similar to southern Italy in terms of the weather, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And of course, it's a small island, so you get sea
Right.
breeze pretty much anywhere, right? Yeah,
Wow.
so it's great. It's great. Even
Is
now,
there
it's early March and it's like 20 degrees outside. Yeah,
Yes.
it's
Is
not
it
too bad.
very rural or, is there a major city there or is it just very rural?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tiny island, so we can't say
Right.
there's a big city. I mean, the whole
Yes.
population is 500,000 people, so
Oh,
we don't
yes.
have big cities,
Exactly.
but the coastal areas are quite developed because there
Uh-huh.
are a lot of like I said, there are a lot of tourists coming in, and they expect, nice shops, nice hotels, nice
Yes.
resorts. So the coastal areas have become quite urbanized as a
Uh-huh.
result of all these, hotels opening up, a lot of high-rise condominiums being built to cater
Oh,
to the foreign needs, right?
yes.
But the more inland parts of the islands, they tend to be quite rural, right? Still a lot of farming going on, like for example, olives, orange, lemon, there's a lot of agriculture going on more inland. Yeah.
So there is a lot of agriculture going on. Oh, that's really
Right.
interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. So the
So,
inland and the coastal areas are quite different yeah, in terms
uh-huh.
of what it looks like. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, very, very interesting. So, so I know you're living in Malta now, and you have this book about living in rural Tanzania,
Yeah, that is
correct?
correct. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what was that like? Because I know that's very rural.
Right, absolutely. So that was absolutely rural, even by Tanzanian standards. So I lived in Tanzania from 2015 to 2017 for about 2 years, working for an American NGO that helps locals improve agricultural productivity. So I was specifically living in a village, right? That's where everybody farms, right? So,
Yes.
so my job was going around to teach people how to farm better, as well
Uh-huh.
as providing them with better seeds and better fertilizers that will
Uh-huh.
enable them to grow the same crops more productively, right? Yeah, so it was a very rural place, even by Tanzanian standards. Yeah,
Yes. Oh, wow.
yeah,
So lots of farming going on there, I'm sure, because it's rural
absolutely.
and lots of farming, things like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of sort of like subsistence farming. So people
Uh-huh.
just growing food for their own
Oh, for
consumption.
their own.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because the roads are not in the best shape. So even if they grow a lot of food, it's very difficult to get it to the market, right? Get it to,
Oh,
for example,
yes.
bigger cities or outside the country for export, right? So it's mostly just consumed locally. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, and it's also very difficult to get information in about, what the markets are like in other places because
Right.
there's very limited internet connection, very limited use of electricity, right?
Uh-huh.
So the information is not easily, spread around for people to know where to export their stuff if they grow too much
Exactly.
food. Yeah.
Exactly. So tell us about any other very interesting places that not a lot of people get to that you've lived in.
Yeah. So before I lived in Tanzania, I was in Southeast Asia for about 3.5 years.
Uh-huh.
This was completely different kind of job where I was actually working on a internet shopping kind of website. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So as part of that job, I was basically traveling and living in 6 different countries in Southeast Asia. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so these include Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, and Singapore. Yeah, so those 6 countries. Yeah, there are a lot of big internet firms coming up in Southeast Asia because it's a rapidly growing parts of the world, both in terms of the economy and in terms of the population. But still,
Yes.
as part of working in an internet shopping company, you have to deliver goods to areas that few
Right.
tourists go to, right?
Oh,
Because
yes.
the one of the value of shopping online is that they people get to buy stuff that they cannot buy locally. So a
Right.
lot of people who happen to live in more small towns that don't
Uh-huh.
have good shops but have good internet access
Uh-huh.
tend to use the website that I was working for. Yeah.
Oh, 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 that's really interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting. So you're in Malta now. Do you have plans to stay there, or you think you might be going to some other interesting place that oh, is there a place that you've researched that you haven't lived in yet, but you want to experience?
Yeah, so there are currently about 58 different countries that provides a digital nomad residency option for
Oh,
foreigners. Yeah, so and
yes.
of course Malta is one of them. So
Yeah.
during my research in these, 50 something countries, there are a few other places that I thought about going to, right?
Right.
One was the Middle East. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
places like Abu Dhabi and Dubai also offer
Yes.
the digital nomad residency option. So
Uh-huh.
living there just to see, how the region has changed because of oil money and all of that would be quite an interesting experience, I would believe. Yeah. Um,
Exactly. Yes.
yeah, so that's one. And the other one that I'm quite interested in visiting is the Caribbean. Yeah, there are a lot
Uh-huh.
of small Caribbean islands that offer digital nomad residency as well. Yeah, but even though I'm from the US, I have actually
Yes.
never been to any of the Caribbean countries. So
Huh?
just to see, how they are different from the US and how the US has impacted the whole region would be quite
Yes.
interesting.
Yes, that
Yeah.
would be very, very interesting. That's great. Well, that's interesting. So, all right. Well, so you may be headed off to a Caribbean island next.
Yeah,
So,
maybe.
have
Yeah.
you ever lived in any of the European countries that, the major ones everybody knows of: Italy,
Mm.
France, Austria, Germany, Ireland?
Um, yeah, like within the so I used to live in Britain
Okay.
before
Uh-huh.
they were no
Okay.
longer part of the EU, right? So
Yes.
I did my master's in London actually back in
Mhm.
2011. So I
Uh-huh.
lived in London for about a year or so.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I guess it was quite different back then as compared to
Yes,
now.
and it
Uh,
is
yeah,
now. Yes.
yeah,
Now,
they
do
are much
they
more.
Oh, go ahead. What were you going to say? Much more what?
They were much more integrated, and with Europe back then, there were a
Yeah.
lot of Europeans from the continent studying at UK university at the time because they were part of the
Yes.
EU, right? And now the
Yes.
situation is quite different.
Yes, yes, it's not. So, oh gosh, there was something I was just going to ask and I forgot. But anyway, I was going to ask, do any of the
Mhm.
major European countries do they allow digital nomads also? Do they have that?
Yeah, yeah.
They
Actually,
do.
now I think Italy's working on it, but probably the biggest destination for digital nomad within Europe is Portugal. A
Oh,
lot of people
yes.
go to Portugal for digital nomad, and especially a lot of Americans are there. Yeah,
Yes, yes. That's a
yeah,
popular country. Yes, yes.
right. But Portugal has been doing digital nomad system for quite a few years now, and a lot of people went there and really pushed up the real estate prices. So
Oh,
people are looking for
yes.
cheaper places to go. So right
Yes.
now, a lot of people who used to look at Portugal, they're looking at Eastern Europe now. So
Oh, okay.
countries like Macedonia or Albania, right, Croatia, they have become the next big thing in European digital nomading. So.
Oh, so they allow digital nomads, the
Mhm.
countries in the East. Okay, okay.
Yeah, and they're a lot cheaper than Portugal in
Yes,
terms
so
of living
so
costs.
far for
Yeah,
now anyway,
for
until
now, yeah,
everybody. Yes, I know
until everybody
Portugal.
goes.
Yes, Portugal has become very popular, so
Mhm,
I assume the real estate would be pushed up. So, yep, everything's more
absolutely,
expensive. That's great.
absolutely.
So you have a book on on living in
Mhm.
rural
Tanzania.
Tanzania. You have
Yeah,
another one on immigration. What's that? Chinese immigration to Russia? Was that with the
yeah,
other book? So, and people
yeah,
can find those on Amazon.
that is correct. Yeah, they
Okay,
can
oh,
just search my name and they'll be
yes.
able to find it. Yeah.
And I know, you sent me a link, so I'm gonna try and put that up on the website for the marialiberati.show.com.
Right.
And, well, thank you so much for being here and happy travels.
Thank you very
And,
much.
let us know, maybe we'll have you back next time if you have another book out or something else
Absolutely.
you'd like to
Yeah.
talk about the next spot that you move to.
Sure. Sounds good. Thank you very much,
Well,
everyone, for listening in.
great. Thank you for being here. Thanks. Hi, I'm Maria Liberati, Gourmand World Award winning author and chef. I've spent years educating and exploring the world in my very own TV show. And now I'd like to invite you all to listen to the Maria Liberati Show, my podcast. You can listen to the podcast anywhere podcasts are heard. And you can also find me at marialiberati.com.